gives you a 20%, but that's not who you are. But what happened? There was an error. There was an error in the system. But if the system has no error, it should work very well. Errors occur, by the way. Errors occur. You became someone. You started doing the right things. You met someone who was on the caliber. You got married. Then they decided now to retract. That's an error. Errors occur. So you pray and told God, if this system works, that if I become, I do, then I do, I have, and I had Amkora here. It's an error. Errors occur. But if there's no error, the system should work. I want to take the next few minutes now, taking that principle and applying it on music. Sawa? Because it's a principle. Now, take it and apply it in your field. So not all of you, I understand, have this grand dream of doing a grand live recording, which is okay. But take the principle, apply it wherever. It will work. I promise you it will work, unless there's an error. How do you deal with errors? Pray. 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 The God who sees in secret answers in public. The Lord who knows tomorrow from today can, oh my God, he can remove an error. He can remove an error from your way. Because me, I'm obeying the principle. But the enemy brings an error. Lord, remove that error. The principle will work. Amen. I wanted you to stand and stretch because it's been a long whatever. You can take a bathroom break, but don't go home. What is coming is greater. Take a bathroom break, 5 minutes. If you need to call someone, call them. Maybe ulikuwa unataka kuambia waekele sasa maji ya ugali. You can do that because we are almost done. 5 minutes break. Like I've said, this may not apply to everyone, but just listen in. You might take a point or two. You might have a son, a daughter, a friend, a spouse who would like to write music, and you can share with them these notes. In 2013, was it 2012, I came into what we call the professional music industry. So this one, before that, I was a banker. I was working at Standard Chartered Moi Avenue, which was closed. The bank is restructuring, I think. So the other day I passed in the place where I think, oh, okay, they've been shown. I think someone is lost. But I think, yeah, the usher can usher them in. So I passed there and I had Caribbean customer. Kumbe now it's a stall for shoes. And I said, hey Mungu, now I can't show my children where I used to work. But the Lord told me, thank God for the years you worked there. So I was there at the bank for 3 years. In 2011, 2012, 2013, I was working in the bank. 2014, I left for what we would call the music industry. And by that time, I had, quote unquote, the biggest song in the country, Lingala Yesu. You have a big song in the country when you can sing anywhere in this nation and people can sing with you those words, word for word. And that's a blessing. Hillsong came the other day and they could sing and people can sing word for word. Can you imagine your song? You're singing your song in Kasipul Kabondo. You have no relatives there. Nobody knows you. But people are singing your song. Wow. You guys, that is a blessing. Let me tell you. It is a blessing on another level. It's so satisfying. And so we were there doing tours, plane to plane. And by that time, let me tell you, the industry had money. the money was there, and we could see it because Groove Awards was doing tours, Safaricom was doing tours, companies were doing road shows, downloads were paying, Skiza was paying. There was a lot of money. And so when you make that kind of money when you're only 27, 28, it destroys you, because you need to create a very responsible distance between you and a lot of money, at least until you have a JD for your money. If there's no JD for your money, anybody who you employ who does not have a job description will lead to mischief. It doesn't matter who they are. Even our house managers, if you employ them and they don't have a JD doc, they will do very crazy things. Because hujamwambia, for them, you've not created what we call a process. What do they do on Monday? What do they do on Tuesday? What do they do on Wednesday? If there's no timetable like that, they will do what they were meant to do the whole week on Monday. Yote ishe. So what do they do on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? Mischief. Mischief. Niki. Ukora tu. So when I was hit with that kind of money, of course, I lost the way. And money confused me here and there, blah, blah, blah. And I just lost the way in many ways. And one of the ways I can say I got lost is not knowing my mandate. Not knowing that it is the Lord who's called me, and I need to always go back to the source. So there was constant forgetting of who I am and becoming a superstar and performing and all those things. But in 2017, the Lord called me back. Second life. And it happened in a very interesting way, because I bought a phone. I saw a phone being advertised. I had money, and it's money in cash. One of the best practices I tell young people, don't carry money in cash. Let your money be somewhere, working for its Lord, which is you. But not you having it in your pocket. Money in your pocket seems a lot, sindio? Ushaikuwa unatafuta koti hivi ya kuvaa jacket kama hii, ukapata 5K ndani. My God. You call the landlord and tell them, nimechoka na one bedroom, nitafutie 4. Na kama hauna useme. Because you found money that doesn't have a JD. It's there, but you didn't work for it. It's like you didn't. Na niwe ulieka hapo, but for some reason it pumps you up. You start asking, KICC Ruto wanauza ngapi yote hivyo? Mpaka yote, how much is it? Nimesikia wanauza. Because you got 5K in your coat. So, money does that to people sometimes, who've not become. Yeah, so that happened in 2017. I must have seen an advert of Samsung Edge. I said, oh, I want this phone. I had the money, I went and bought it, put my SIM card. It didn't work. So I took the phone back. When I was in the shop, Samsung shop, the thing works. But when I leave and go home, the phone does not work. So that was really interesting. I thought, okay, let me go back. So I went back. They said, okay, we've never seen a problem like this, so change your SIM card. It must be your SIM card. So I went to the next shop, which was Safaricom, and changed to a new SIM card. So now I had the new phone, new SIM card. And where I was in that shop, the thing was working. But when I got home, the thing is not working. Wow, it was interesting. I said, okay, let me buy a kabambe. Maybe the Lord has chosen that I don't use expensive phones. So I bought a kabambe, which didn't work. It just didn't work. So I was mteja, ladies and gentlemen, not 2 weeks or 1 month. I was mteja 3 months. So what happens is, if someone like Njama wants to get to Pitson, they would have to call a friend of mine called Bire. He's now Pastor Bire. Then Bire would call my wife. Then now, Njama would have to wait until me and my wife, or my wife and I, are in the same place. Then you would talk. Do you have that patience? Event organizers have options. If this one is not available, call Nani. So that's how I lost business. There were no road shows coming through, nothing. My financial pipes dried clean. I became broke. The shoe I was wearing was the same amount of money as my rent. But I couldn't pay rent. And I couldn't sell my things because the Lord specifically said, give them out, all of them. Coats, perfumes, shoes. You know when you have cash, you see a shoe, you like it. The thing is what, 29,000, 30? You like it, you pick it. Because anyway, it's 10% of the money you're carrying with you then. Wase msiombe pesa. Ombeni muweze kuihandle. Ombeni muscle. Pray to become. Because for the small man, every amount of money is huge. But for the big man, even billions is small because they have a vision. The only money that is a lot is the one that doesn't have a vision. But if your vision is 5 billion, what is 500 million? It's just to dig the foundation of your vision. So it's not a lot. It can't pump you up. You're still going back to the Lord and saying, God, 4.5 to go. But when you have no vision, then you're given 500 million. Whoa. Now, you will live under the vision of someone else. If you have no goal, they will give you goals. If you have no eyes, they will see for you. And that's a dangerous place to be. If you have no mouth, they speak for you. And they don't express what your heart wants. So that happened. I ran dry completely. The guy who had one shoe that could pay the rent now has nothing. Absolutely nothing. Then, in a very fashionable way, the Lord was just crushing me. I had no money. I had no huge song. So, by the time 3 months lapsed, and that time, gospel was huge. By the time you even pick yourself up, Doc, there are 10 other big songs that have come. So it's not you they are looking at. It's now the others. So that's how a whole season passes you. And then now I couldn't pay my rent. The only reason I was not locked out is because my landlady was very old. And she had property all over. And she used to tell me, Rigara. She used to call me Rigara. She used to tell me, Rigara, ninauza rori zangu. Niwekee ORX. Ananipea phone yake. Very expensive. She doesn't know how to operate. So I go to I open an OLX account. I go to the gallery, take the photos for the Nini. I post, I put her number. And I think one lorry got bought. Like that. So she thought I'm a magician. Huyu Rigara musimfukuse. And that's how I survived. The Lord is graceful. Even in his punishments. Even in chastisement, the Lord is still faithful. I wasn't chased. 4 months. I don't have rent. So she was wondering, you are a very big name. So how come you don't have rent? But I was going through a process of kufinywa. It was painful. I lost everything. I lost friends in the industry. Little did I know, the Lord, I was in his agenda even in my